Hi, I'm Rockyatu. I'm an educator, meditation teacher, and founder of the Aligned Voice Company. I have the pleasure of welcoming you to the 28th year of the African Film Festival. I'm so excited to be here and to share with this monumentous year, despite all of the things that we've gone through. I have the pleasure of speaking with Mr. Pascal Aka today. How are you?
I'm doing great, Rocky. Thanks so much.
Nice to see you. Well, I know the time is very late there, and you're doing a big service staying up so late and talking with us today. We're so happy to see you.
I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, so just to talk a little bit about your introduction and your bio, Pascal Aka was born in the Ivory Coast and raised in Ghana. He finished his education in Ontario, Canada, where he earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in Film Studies at Carleton University. He began the first 6 years of his career in Canada, directing independent action films, Souls of Strife and Evol, which we will talk about. Those films won multiple awards at the Action on Film Festival in California, and his various music video commercial works have been showcased on the like of Much Music, CBC, Rogers TV, CNN, and major Canadian networks. He also relocated to Ghana in 2011, where he formed Breakthrough Studios, one of the leading music video production companies in Ghana, and he was awarded for Best African Music Video at the 2016 Afrima Awards in Lagos, Nigeria. Congratulations, such a well and storied career. We're so happy to talk to you today. African Film Festival really brings these narratives of connecting African culture and deepening the understanding of African culture here in New York City for audiences through the moving image. And we're so happy to talk to you today about your film, Gold Coast Lounge. Tell me a little bit about the road that led to Gold Coast Lounge. So we know earlier in your discography, you had works like Souls of Strife, an action and drama film, as well as Evil, also action and a little bit more of the themes of family inheritance. How have you kind of bridged these gaps between your earlier works and the work that you produce now?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to say that the research that you've done on me is quite extensive. Like, I'm quite impressed. Um, um, well, what has led me to make it a movie like Gold Coast Lounge? A lot of things. Basically, my life as an artist, being educated in Canada um, as a young adult and coming back um, as an artist with the eyes of not necessarily from a foreigner, but seeing my own country with a different lens. So when I was here growing up and when going to Canada for like 9 years and coming back again, I saw things differently because, I was trained to see things differently from an artist's point of view. So a lot of themes in the film. First, we talk about two things: the theme of the film and also the style of the film. Now, when it comes to the theme, um, themes and issues like such as colonialism and us Africans finding our true identity. Who are we after independence, and who are we as Africans in terms of um, cooperation and unity? What does that really mean? We're still searching for that definition. And as far as style is concerned, I keep what you see in Gold Coast Lounge is just a combination of my entire career, from action film, how I started, and music videos and short films, etc. That's me putting all those things into one. And after years of directing music videos, colorful music videos, I just went back to basics and actually went to like my first year of film studies, which is film noir. I studied film noir my first year. It's one of the first units. Um, and I decided to put that in an African context. So that's it's basically a genesis, a beginning of my career after 15 years, starting from scratch. Even though it's not from scratch, but as a man, you grow. You go through different phases, and from 2016, I decided to quit music videos and I decided to just stop making works that doesn't necessarily have a message. I spent a long time, many years, shooting films that doesn't necessarily show women in the most prestigious way, so to speak. Think about it. I mean, music video directors, I spent many years directing women twerking and all those things and stuff. But I feel that, um, the African woman is one of the most powerful creations from God. That's the way I feel. Um, I decided to just make sure that from 2016, I made a vow to just make works that portrays us Africans as kings and queens and show our culture, but in a way that has been done in the Western world. So basically, taking a style from Hollywood, film noir, the genesis of Hollywood, and apply that in an African context. So there's so many things I can do with that, with different genres, etc. And I feel it's a way to just communicate to the whole world about who we are in a very interesting stylistic way, and with a message that's just universal and timeless. Yes.
So many things that you said I found really interesting, and I see evident in the film Gold Coast Lounge. One thing that I heard you say that I wanted to ask you about is kind of this genesis of your career as someone who has such a storied and non-traditional path through filmmaking. I would consider your music video work more of your entertainment career. And
Yeah.
from what I've read about you, you've played many different roles when you were directing film. So you've done many different types of jobs to gain your film knowledge. In between those breaks when you were not shooting films and you were shooting creative, music videos, what was your thought process? What were you, thinking about in order to get yourself back to making more of the larger artistic works?
Mhm. Well, it was a journey. I mean, when I was making music videos, I was deep into it, and I was really into it because music is a huge part of our culture. So it transformed me. I mean, even though like I decided to leave, but it was a good 5 years of me being transformed, me exploring so many different ways of telling a story as much as I could, so to speak, entertaining the audience and showcasing our culture, our modern culture, in the very as a way to just boost tourism and just attracts people's eyes in the African culture, the modern African culture. So I just feel that um, it's a spiritual thing. As an artist, like you can proactively make decisions, but at the same time, if you just let the spirit take you wherever you feel you want to go, there's a voice in your head that tells you, hey, it's time to do this, time to do that, and you just have to follow that message, no matter what. So mind you, um, I did a short film first. I did a short film called Black Rose, which is actually online for free. It's on YouTube, which is, you can say it's a proof of concept of Gold Coast Lounge. Um, I'm not saying we didn't know what we were doing, but that was when we started building that concept of Afro-noir, making a film noir, but in an African version of film noir. So we did that. We sent it to film festivals, a lot of film festivals, and I wouldn't say it was successful at all. There was lots and lots and lots of rejection throughout. I always say 98% rejection. They didn't do well in the film festival circuit. So, but still, 2 years after that, I still went ahead and decided to make the bigger risk of turning that into a feature film. Now, the short film was a bit more poetic and a bit more, like it was silent film. It was. So I did everything from scratch, wrote a full script, multiple drafts, and then we went ahead, we did a feature film, Gold Coast Lounge, and basically almost all the film festivals that rejected us accepted the film and even awarded us. So it's one of those things where it's a proof that hey, when you have a voice in your head, just listen to it, and everybody have their own artistic voice, and it has value no matter what.
Absolutely. I mean, as a meditation teacher, I try to get people to get in touch with that internal voice that they have and really understand their thoughts. And I can definitely see how that guides the creative process and informs
Mhm.
the decisions that you make. I think what you've done here, using your background in music was integrated really interestingly in the Gold Coast Lounge film, actually. And I wanted to ask you, why was it important for you to start Breakthrough Studios? And, how has starting your own studio company helped you nurture the Ghanaian film and entertainment industry so far?
Well, everybody has their contribution. Uh, it started when I was back in Canada when I was 19. So I started by myself. I started, my own company over there as well, registered and everything when I was my second year. So, but the idea of doing multiple jobs, wearing multiple hats, it started with this crazy idea. This idea of me not being so experienced at 19 years old and making my own film. So, and as low budget as possible. My first film, Solo Strike, wrote, directed, writer, director, editor, composer, second lead actor, web designer. I did all those things. So I didn't, basically this is my life. And I didn't have a life back then. And while doing that, my first film became my education, so to speak, even though I was, studying university and taking courses as many courses I could outside my university as well. So, but as far as the music is concerned, music was always part of me, I guess. Music was always part of me, and every director have at least a secondary aspect to them. There's some directors who are very good, focus a lot on the special effects aspect. Others focus on the story, the screenwriting, the can you write books. James Cameron was an engineer before he did movies, so he can actually build mechanics for his films if he wants to. But to me, apart from the acting, which I studied as well at the same time as film, music, as I would say now, music is the second part, the secondary arm of who I am as a director. And it wouldn't have been the case if it wasn't for my years in music videos, directing music videos. And I don't see myself in the future making films that are not that integrated with music, because as Africans, music's a huge part of our communication. And music, it's basically takes the audience in the journey, the spiritual journey of the film. You don't just watch a film, you hear the film. You tell someone, oh, I saw your film. You just see it, you heard it. You heard the dialogue, you heard the music, everything took you on an emotional journey. If I mute myself right now, then we're not going to have a great conversation. It's the visual and the audio experience. So it's something that I study constantly. I keep getting better and better at it. And I'm looking forward to what really can be done with music in conjunction with film in order to tell our story. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about Gold Coast Lounge. I mean, we know that it's an Afro-noir set. It's set in the nightlife of post-independence Ghana. A crime family is uniting to try to clean up their activities or their ways of making money so that they can kind of be more creative. And we see this kind of turn of leadership in who is running Gold Coast Lounge. And I had to say, opening the film and hearing music that reminded me of like high life, of things that my father used to listen to. My father loved Alaji K. Frimpong and Evo
Oh, yeah.
Taylor and all of
Yeah.
those likes, and hearing those high life horns and those pianos and those, Ghanaian high life instruments really gave the opening and the entire film a different feel. Tell me about that choice that you made to really include that type of genre of music in this particular film.
Yeah. There's actually a short documentary that we put out there and on the film's Instagram page about the music. The music was in three layers. First of all, when we did the Afro-noir genre, like we knew the music really, really, really was a huge part of creating that Afro-noir genre. So you definitely have the classical film noir sounds, and then the high life sounds, and of course the traditional African sounds. So the film is actually set specifically in late 60s. We didn't specify in the film itself, but it's specifically set in the late 60s. One reason why we didn't want to specify, because Okay, so if we're talking about a president, and people will say, "Oh, you're talking about that president." So I didn't want to be too partisan in terms of the politics, but so at that time, musically, it was a time when I feel West Africans were really finding their voice with music. We're really finding their voice. Getting to a time where closer to the time where Fela Kuti was coming out and just trailblazing, Osibisa from Ghana, Igbo Taylor, like you mentioned, Jujudu Blamble, and so it's our sound. That sound is our sound. So I feel you cannot make an African film if it does not have that African sound. So apart from the local language, which is a huge part of the culture of the film, the music, high life, and the traditional sounds, it's definitely that what adds to the Afro part of the Afro-noir. So we work very hard on it. We work extremely hard, and if I'm still filmmaking and we make a sequel, I'm really looking forward to all the other stuff that we can do to take that to the next level. Absolutely.
I look forward to it as well. I mean, one of my favorite parts of films is listening to the score. It really gives you the emotional connection to the work. And another thing that is similar to music, but not quite, are the languages that were used here. We heard Ga, we heard Tree, I heard some other Ghanaian languages that I'm not familiar with. I mean, my family knows Ga and Tree, but a lot of the language and listening to them speak in African languages felt like listening to music as well. How was that decision to shoot the film entirely in the Ga or Twi language for a majority of it and using the subtitles? What was your thinking? Who was your audience when you made that decision?
Everybody's the audience, you know. I mean, if I'm not interested in showing non-Ghanaians um, something that's not from Ghana. I mean, if we have gold, then I'm just showing the rest of the world, hey, this is our gold. This is who we are. You know, my tree is not that great, but because of my years outside Ghana, I appreciate all these things so much. You know, all these things. I love showing that in a beautiful lens and showcasing, exporting to the rest of the world. So, in general, the dialogue, the way it was written, the way it was shot, the way it was edited, the whole film is music. The whole film has a rhythm to it. And I think from the way it was written, the actors actually know that they felt that. So they knew when to take the right pauses, they knew when to have the right beats in their dialogue. So, but the idea of Ga be the predominant language is because it's completely neglected in our film industry. You know, in our film industry in Ghana, so either you have English, the English side, that's what they call the glamour films, and they have the tree side, which is usually the Kuma word for Kumasi. So you have tree, you have English. So okay, what about Ga? Because I feel Ga is so powerful. Ga is a very, very powerful language, and usually it has a stereotype because Bukum, for example, that's where the boxers come from. So usually guns associated with violence, guns associated with aggression. But when we did a Black Rose short film, and my lead actor decided to um, write all the dialogue, speak all the dialogue narration in Ghana, he was able to turn that brutal Ghana language into the most romantic thing you've ever heard. And he did it so flawlessly. So, and we decided to make the feature film mostly in Ghana. For his character and all the characters that are close to him intimately, like John Donko, for example. And I think it's one of the biggest weapons in the film. The gun language, the trees did in a few parts, and Ewe. Um, Now, the Ewe language was spoken by the Juju men, the men that was selling the poison and stuff. Um, Again, it's a little bit stereotype from that tribe, but if I was to make a longer film about that tribe, I will break that stereotype. But then, if we had a little bit, then we just showed that to a stereotype. I don't think anyone was offended whatsoever, because at the same time, we can talk about religion a little bit, maybe with my character. As long anytime you show an African religion that's not Christianity, it's always associated with, um, black magic, as in dark magic, as in dark arts, as in, curses, etc., and everything. So, um, uh, however, I feel at the same time people are smart enough to know the idea that, okay, an antagonist. If you're not antagonizing the whole tribe, you're antagonizing the person. If my character was bad, it's because it's bad. It's not because it associates with a bad tribe. That is nice.
Interesting. You said so many things in that last answer. I'm thinking about wisdom and Akite going to that Juju man and really thinking about wisdom, your character's feelings about God, about spirituality. Talk to us about why you made him not really have a spiritual base and how that informed his development through the film.
Okay, I was just finding a way to make um, the African leader naked. Just take off all the mask and actually show the corrupt African leader exactly who he is. Because a lot of people use religion, Christianity, as a way to mask the true motives. Wisdom didn't have that. His religion was basically his adopted father, John Donko, and his money and his power and his fame and all that stuff. That's what he worshipped. That was what he worshipped. But anything else he didn't care. And gradually, when he starts seeing that the man he worshipped is not that perfect, gradually he starts seeing that um, let me get back in character for a while or something. Here's the thing: every single time, those scenes where he grabs a knife and puts anybody on their knees and tells them to confess. Every time he does that, someone tries to challenge his own wisdom, spirituality, and try to get him to see that he's going in the wrong path and change before it's too late. You know, so one, there was a cook. I worked very hard to cast that person. We did a whole audition just for that small role. I wanted someone to create a strong impression and then just leave, to be a spirit, not necessarily a character that's long. And then the last person that he stabbed, which would be Auntie Ajwa. Maybe it's his mother, we don't know. But it's just a long, beautiful scene where she actually speaks on his whole spirituality to the point that brought him to tears. So, and it gets all the way to the end where it's this time he finally got stabbed, and it's this time to actually become spiritual, actually, because he lost his initial religion, which is money, fame. Because once you're dying, all those things do not matter at all. So he's just someone that felt that, okay, um, I believe in one God, which is John Donko, and it got to a point where this God does not favor all his children equally. He favors one person more than the other. So I'm an atheist. I don't believe in this God. But what about the true one? Let me just give that one a try, because now I'm dying, so I have no choice. So there's so many layers to this character, and playing him this is actually, I mean, if people have seen my films, short films, etc., I've acted in a lot of my films, but this one is the last one that I'm acting my own project, because it was very, very difficult playing someone who's completely conflicted and dark, with not so much humanity to him and stuff. So, but it has got some good reviews, and I'm very happy with the way it turned out.
Excellent. I thought it was very well played. I thought it was very well played. And I think it's really interesting that the choice of his name as wisdom is only reflected in those final moments after he's making decisions his entire, time in the film, decisions that are out of line with what he should be doing and who he should be serving. And then we see in those final moments that he finally gets to understand, who and what the real God should be or should
Mhm.
serve. And I think that's a reflection of our minds too. We spend a lot of time running away from the inner voice that you mentioned, the thing that is
Yeah.
most important. And then in those final moments when our bodies have no control any longer, we've lost our vanity, we've lost everything that we hold on to in this world. we connect with that higher force. So it was a very powerful, powerful scene to have him represented in that way. Let's talk a little bit about Black Rose herself. You mentioned earlier you felt that women are some of the most powerful forces in, in your films and in your ideas about them and what you want to represent. Black Rose herself in the film, Rose had a really interesting past, however. She came from interesting roots and kind of started to make her own way. What was really the thinking behind having Rose ascend in the way that she did? And how did you feel about how her character developed in the film?
Okay. Now, the whole film um, is basically a political film, a political metaphor. The lounge itself represents Ghana or any African country, and every single character represents one aspect of our political leadership or our society. I feel that Black Rose is the Black Star of Ghana, which is every Ghanaian. Her character represents us, all Ghanaians. She's the mother of all Ghanaians, and um, she's just she's the prize for every leader. She's the prize for every man of power. Every man of power want to possess her. The same way that every single political leader wants to uh, possess the votes of their people. So what do? They promise us this, they promise us the world, they promise us that, they promise us education, they promise us our dreams will come true, they promise us jobs and all that stuff. And this is just my way of saying that as valuable and as beautiful as we are so naive to the promises that we are given to whichever leader. Oh, you're going to promise me this, so I'll go to you. Oh, no, you promised me this, so I'll go to you, so I'll go to you, so I'll go to you. So I like to say this a lot, but it is what it is. Um, no matter what leader she goes to, Rose will always end up getting screwed. So, which is exactly how it is a commentary that a lot of us have about the leadership in Ghana and leadership in a lot of African countries. We are promised multiple things, but we still end up getting screwed by leaders that are corrupt, leaders that just like want to take advantage of us. But um, from the reception that I've seen from Rose, she started from from the roots. I mean, as a character in the film, from the village, well, she was turned to a prostitute for many, many years, and she started taking action. So she started like looking out for herself, looking out for her dreams. So I want to create a character. All the female characters, young or old, make their own decisions. They're surrounded by men that make the decisions, but all the women have agency. They make things happen. You know, um, good decisions or bad decisions, the women still make decisions. They're not just themselves in distress whatsoever. They influence the men, they influence themselves. And Rose is a perfect example of that. Even if she's not perfect, I feel that, she has this strength. Um, she has the strength to realize to see things the way they are and explore and make ultimate decisions based on her observations, whether they're closed, narrow, or wide. So yeah, this film would not be what it is if it was for Black Rose and if it wasn't for Raquel, the actress that performed it. I think the value of the film is what it is, and it's centralized on the value, the beauty, and the talent of Black Rose in the film.
Very well played. And I really enjoyed her character and listening to some of the things that she had to say as she was making her own way, as you said, and juxtaposing her with Akiti and Auntie Ajua and all of the other female characters have, as you said, the ability to make their own choices and seem to stand up for themselves and support one another in some scenes as well. So that's very evident. Let's talk a little bit about the post-independence era of Ghana and why making the film and setting it in this time frame was important to communicate the messages that the film had to offer. What about post independence Ghana was speaking to you, and what do you hope audiences can gain from seeing the film in that era?
Right. The thing is, it's a little bit of a trick because we can set the film from the late 60s to like it was and address some issues that was actually, sort of prevalent at the time. It's a bit of a genesis of Ghanaian independence, but then uh, here we are 50 plus years later, and we are still at the same spot where we're still importing everything, where we're not producing enough. And we still wonder why economy is the way it is. And people are economically taking advantage of the economic system, but it's not necessarily the masses. It's just a handful of people that are taking advantage of everything, which is exactly what my character was trying to do as well. Just put some money in my pocket, and the rest will suffer. I don't care, you know. So basically, even if this was set in the slave trade, I would make an antagonist, and if Wisdom's ancestor was in there, I would make his ancestor be one of the people that was taking advantage of the slave trade, actually selling his fellow black man to the white man. You know, so it was important to set the film around that time and address these issues, and then make a story that where we have a leader that's trying to, you know, um, use the lounge as a model for how he feels the whole country should be run. So instead of me making a huge budget film, talking about the whole Ghana itself and having Nkrumahs that no, I just made just a lounge with one family, and I think ultimately the message comes across, and all of us in our own way contributes to the independence of the corruption of our society. We all have a part to play. So that's one of the messages from the film. That's one of the things I want people to take away when they watch this film, focus on this family and this lounge, and ultimately what happened at the end as well.
Hmm. And we won't give that away. We'll let them watch the film and make the decision for themselves. However, what I hear in your comments are about the impulse for profit or progress. And we see that as John is trying to encourage his sons to really think about what the future could look like and what the lounge could look like if they implemented different policies. How is this film also a future dedication to what Ghana could look like if all of the things that you mentioned were taken care of? Is this film kind of a love letter to Ghana's future and what might be?
Well, the thing is, at the end of the day, I'm not a political man. I'm just a filmmaker. So I like to have people ask questions, and um, basically, it's not just Ghana; it's the whole of Africa. It's just a love letter to how beautiful we are, and a love letter to the fact that a letter to that to just re-emphasize the fact that beautiful things can happen if we do unite, regardless of our tribes, regardless of our political beliefs, regardless of our policies, etc. Our class as well and age. We have a character that's young and is being held back. Ama, her character. Um, it's just basically to just have people be open to different types of people and accept all the different types of people here in Africa,
Mm.
and use all of us to the best of our abilities for the betterment of our own people, because who will care about us more than us? That's
Mm.
basically it.
Right. And definitely not abuse, but use, right? It's okay to use the relationships and the people that we know that are close to us to create progress. And abusing them is what we're trying to avoid. And we see that as represented in the class specifically. So I'm happy that you mentioned that. So let's talk a little bit just to wrap up some of the ending of the film and some of the takeaways of this key project. I know you mentioned the possibility of a sequel or a continuation. How can we use Daniel's character to signal what he would represent? to young audiences, African or Ghanaian audiences?
That is a very good question. Okay, what I can talk about here, the theme of war and the theme of, revenge and misunderstandings. Um, every single conflict in the world, or the middle of any conflict, always begins with one person feeling that they have been wronged. And at the end of the day, everything can escalate to a catastrophe. And there's no way to subdue any catastrophe without forgiveness, without humility, and without accountability, and without unselfishness. So um, Daniel, the lead character, was put in a very tough decision by the end of the film. But if there's no solution to what to his issue, to his challenges, then I guess the film is just a film that just showcases how difficult it is sometimes when we are in an environment that is pushing us against the wall. Um, but ultimately, from the vision that he gets with his father, is that at the end of the day, we as Africans need to look out for each other. We as Africans, um, at the end of the day, we are not in competition with each other. We are in competition. If they were in competition with anybody, it's with people that are not here. If we are in competition, that is. Because for the longest time, Daniel, well, he was from the village. That's where he comes from, but he elevated from that. And if people are still going to associate him from as a savage from the village, that stuff, what is the solution to that? Should we embrace that, or should we just, um, should he just be a man, the man that he was trying to be, the man of independence, the man of the people, the man of peace and progress, So he was trying to be that, and he was pushed into being that savage criminal from the village, So um, we need to move forward. We need to move forward as Africans, and we need to move forward as people that were victimized in the past. We are leaders. We are um, trailblazers. We are decision makers, and the progress of our own people and of our continent is up to us. And there's no reason to go back to the way we were, victims or savages or warriors against each other. There's no reason. It's time to build together, and that is all.
Really great comment. I mean, how can that be followed up? I think the youth have a lot on their plate, especially those who are connecting to Daniel's character. They have a lot to look to in terms of understanding what reconciliation and healing looks like for them. But that addressing of trauma and the addressing of pain has to happen. And I see a bit of Daniel thinking about that pain of his past and
Mhm.
really what that meant to the man that he became, as the way that he was pulled back into those influences. And so if he was not able to address that pain, that's part of the reason he couldn't move forward in the ways that we saw him trying to. So really addressing the part of ourselves that might not be as favorable, the part of our
Mhm.
history that is messy, that is flawed, that is complicated. Addressing that is something that I think will definitely allow us to heal and make progress. And people might do that in different paces and at different times. And so as you continue to make films, I would love to continue seeing characters that move forward, even despite the fact that they might have to leave others behind. And thinking about Gold Coast Lounge and this new class that is set in, right? In in seeing the representation of this film set around a family, an action, it involves love, it involves so many really wonderful themes. Gold Coast Lounge is kind of setting itself up to represent progress in the Ghanaian film industry in ways that will break it apart from, other films that are being made in this same way. What do you see as, those compatriots or the opportunity for you to continue making progress in the Ghanaian film industry and, telling narratives that are unlike what we've seen?
Well, I the film has been very well received internationally. So I feel and all the awards that we won, 18 awards, and it's for me personally, it's been the biggest, the most positively received film or any artwork I've ever done in my life. It's been very, very great. It's in a very, very unique place. The mere idea that it's black and white, it's a film noir and stuff. It's in a very, very unique place. So I feel that I want to keep breaking creative boundaries stylistically, and at the same time keep finding new ways to just put out positive, profound messages in these films while showing, while lifting up our culture all the time. So we're in an industry, honestly, in the film industry in Ghana, it's not great. It's in a critical state. It's in receiving CPR. Cinemas have been closed, for example, for the longest time. Um, but however, there are a few filmmakers that try to break boundaries, etc. So I do feel that with the reception of VODs and in the country, in the whole continent, more productions, maybe like this, not necessarily in this style, but more productions that just stand out, both in terms of message, both and in terms of style and production value, will come out from Ghana here and there, and we'll keep, elevating our name here and there. The film was not accepted at by the Oscar committee. We submitted to the Oscar committee. We didn't get accepted for whatever reason. But overall, still, like it's been very, very, very strong with reception, and I'm very proud of the industry that we're in.
Yeah, we look forward to continuing to support narratives like that. And I mean, I live here in New York City in America, and I feel this film feels a little bit about how excited we were when other like, black horror films came out. There was a
Oh,
lot of
absolutely.
excitement for that type of storyline involving black characters here in the US and internationally. And so if I can create a parallel, I think the reception of Gold Coast Lounge is evidence that we need these types of complicated and, stylistically differentiated versions of African filmmaking. And so I hope that the film continues to receive the excellent praise that it has. And I'm sure African Film Festival is so happy to be able to offer it to audiences here. Where can people follow Gold Coast Lounge or follow your work if they want to continue keeping up with the things
Uh,
that you're doing?
well, I'm very active on Instagram, just Pascal Aka GH on Instagram. I'm on Twitter as well, Pascal Aka, Pascal AKA. But here's just some news that I'm premiering here for now. The film has already been on a few flights, Qatar Airlines, etc. It's on Brussels Airlines from February, but just in United Airlines just picked up the film. So if anyone's flying using United Airlines, they can check it out from March, from the month of March, and hopefully this year, big VOD platforms will pick up the film, and more people will be able to watch the film. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And does Gold Coast Lounge have its own Instagram account that you want audiences to follow as well?
Yes, yes. Follow Gold Coast Lounge on Instagram, just Gold Coast Lounge. That's it. And also Facebook as well. We're on Instagram and Facebook. So you can just follow the pages and like the pages. And then that's it. When we get updates, it's going to be over there. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, much success to you and your work and your future films. My name is Rockyatu. You can find me on Instagram at Rise Rockyatu. And I would love to continue to congratulate you and celebrate this amazing film. I do hope that audiences can see it everywhere they can shortly. Thank you so much for joining us, Pascal. It's been an absolute pleasure to connect with you and to hear about some of your influences for making Gold Coast Lounge such an excellent work. Good luck to you as you continue this really, really important artistry. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.